went from being very well off and well to do to losing my identity. I was down to $7 like in my pocket.
Hey there. So I just recorded a podcast with my buddy, Pete Cook. Great story. It's following this little intro video. We had some technical difficulties, so it's he had to record it on his phone. It's not the production level I'm going for, but it's progress over perfection. So Pete talks about overcoming all kinds of adversity, and it's just a great interview. I'm grateful to Pete, and I hope you enjoy it. Thanks.
Pete Cook, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing good, Chris. Good to talk with you, man.
Yeah, awesome. It's been a long time. I think we've been buddies for probably 8 or 9 years now.
I think it's a little bit longer.
Might even be.
Like
Yeah,
a little
might
bit. I
even be.
mean, time's flying though. The last, like it's almost in like hyperspeed, I think.
Oh, dude.
As you get older.
It doesn't help for sure. So, Pete, we're on the Unpolished Rebuild podcast here. I know you've got an amazing podcast. Tell me the name of your podcast.
We are on the rise with Pete Cook.
Love it. Love it. Love it. So I met you probably 10 years ago. I know a little bit about you, but for the people watching and listening, where'd you grow up? Give me like a 2-minute, up until your adulthood. What made up Pete?
Well, I mean, I'm from New York originally, small town on Long Island, West Islip, and lived there for the first 10 years of my life, then moved to Buffalo for about 1.5 years, and then moved down to Orlando, Lake Mary, Florida.
Wow.
So spent my middle school, high school years down there, then went to college up north at University of Rhode Island. Played football up there. Awesome experience. Studied abroad my last semester of school. Got done. Kind of didn't know what I wanted to do. I was a business major, but I really loved sports. So kind of pursued a career in training professional athletes. Worked for the Orlando Magic company, RDV Sports. And through that, met someone and got into real estate. So then moved myself out to the coast by St. Augustine and, been out here off and on for the last 25 years. Yeah.
Right on.
So,
right on.
Yeah.
So you're married, kids. What do you got?
Married with a lot of kids, man. No, I had three daughters. Three daughters. I was a single dad for years. Definitely didn't do it on my own. I'm not gonna say that. I wasn't like single dad on my own doing it. Had one of my daughters full time, and then the other two shared custody. And then a couple of years ago, about 5 years ago now, met my current wife. Got married. Unbelievable dream girl. And she had a daughter, so I got the bonus child. And then so I got 3 girls, 2 getting ready to graduate, 18, 17, then another daughter that's 17 going to be a senior, then an 11-year-old, and then we have a 2-year-old son. So
Finally got that boy.
At that early age of 48, I had a son as well. So
I love it. I love it.
God gives you some surprises, man. So it was a true blessing. So
I love it. Well, listen,
Yeah.
Pete, we're not on here because things went well, right? That's not what this podcast is about anyway. So, I've struggled, you've struggled, you're very open about your struggles. What was life like for you before substances became a problem, or in your case, I guess alcohol, maybe?
Yeah, a lot of alcohol. I don't know. It's not like it was I was very functional, binge drinker, grew up I say this to a lot of people. I don't have this, did I have a perfect family growing up? 100% no. And I moved twice and different things. But with that being said, I had a really good family. I had parents that loved me and family. And I really feel like it was such a typical 80s, 90s family, it was just like everyone else in my neighborhood, which created a lot of fun and adventures, so it was like from a young age, after middle school and stuff, we had a lot of freedom in a lot of ways, and the older kids kind of brought you up in some regards. So it was just like, yeah, and our parents were a little bit looser because they were coming out of a time frame that, you drank, but as long as you had your crap together, everything was all right. So, I played sports, the typical sports, football, basketball, did good in school, and everything was like, yeah, but you partied on the weekends, you
Hmm.
work hard, play hard, all that stuff. So it was like a slow, and it kind of came in as my career went on. Everything, it always went hand in hand. Even I chose a place to study abroad, Australia, and that was like my idea. Like I wanted to go drink, have fun, work, you take care of crap, tough guy. You're doing all this stuff. So it was like, it kind of was like a slow progression, but seemed like it was just, and even my line of work with real estate, doing high end stuff, I got rewarded taking out people for drinks, and it was partying. And also the other sneaky part when I was younger, and this is not to say that younger people should just go balls to the wall, but it was so accepted, to be honestly, like one way it was like really accepted as, and you got away with it, but it was like I could bounce back. So like I could go out all night. I was single. I could do things. I could still wake up in the morning at 6 a.m., work out, go do whatever I had to do. And as life went on and stakes got higher, and I would say like really around that you're familiar with that 07, 08 time period.
Yeah, I got the scars to prove it.
Yeah, and like that's when I started having kids. It was like everything hit me at once. And it was also being a little older, and then like the drinking was more, and it was more regularly. It wasn't just like, also it was like I lived by the beach. I lived in a career that like resort real estate was everybody was on vacation. And it just, and in my line of work too, Adderall got introduced in sales and stuff like that. So the combination, you're working more, you're able to drink more, you're able to stay up more. And it like slowly, I mean, and when '07 happened, I went from being very well off and well to do to losing my identity, my career, and I was having kids at the same time. Like it was like, wow, I was the golden boy. Nothing had ever gone wrong in my life. And till to everything, getting my relationship went to the gutter. My finances were like, I didn't think I'd ever come out of it, honestly. And I don't know if it didn't get as bad as it got, I don't know if I ever would have, because they started doing short sales and they started doing all these other things. And I had a career fortune. I worked for a Fortune 100 company, thought I was set for life, to being like, I don't know. It was like I really felt like I was in a washing machine and just didn't know what way was up or down and how I'm going to get out of this. And I remember one day I was down to $7, like in my pocket after having so much, and I had some family things that happened. Everything hit me at once, and I was like, I don't know. I had no clue how I was gonna get through it, And I was like, I can't believe this. I had all this money before I had kids, and now I have kids, and I don't even know if I could eat tonight. Which good thing is I had really good people around me and I had good relationships and stuff. And like, I never went homeless. I never went that. It was funny actually. There's so many foreclosures going on and stuff. Like I was living in on the ocean front in someone's condo that they weren't paying for and lived like a king, but it was like, and there were so many people in the same situation that it was like, it kind of, I think like a lot of times you get through to a point where things are so bad and you make up stories in your head that you finally have a breaking point and you just like
Hmm.
accept it. And it's almost like that acceptance part, just like, now the thing is though, I crashed, had these things happen, then rebuilt myself and then crashed again, which is like, I never gave up the drinking. Like I kind of controlled it, went back, and that snuck up, because that honestly, some of us I think do have problems with it. Maybe some people can, I'm not a one size fit all type person, and I don't project my issues on someone else. But for me, I never solved that problem. I would go like we talk about, we go to Tony Robbins, we go to all these things there, and I laugh also. There's a book by Gary Keller, the
Yep.
one thing in my life for years was drinking. And I knew that, and but I like would avoid it, because it meant drinking to me was social, hanging out
Yep.
with you guys, hanging out with everybody. I was really socially, not like in work wise, but going out at night. I did not know. I felt very uncomfortable in my own skin,
Mm.
with girls and everything else like that. I always was like really into girls, and since a young age that was like a big thing. But I didn't know how to, if I wasn't drinking, I was so uncomfortable with myself being in
Mm.
a social situation. It was like my superpower. but I was having an internal struggle with it. I definitely had what I hear about now. If you think you have a problem and everything else, I was having those internal battles every morning, different days after a certain time. Like there was a time I
Yep.
didn't even know. I just thought it was normal. But there was a time that, and I never got rid of that. And I would quit for a year here and there. And I would quit for 3 months. I'd quit for this. I'd go say I was going to do a run, a triathlon. I would train. I'd always make an excuse why I wasn't drinking. And then when I'd go back to it, it was like each time it got 10 times worse. I had
Mm,
so many consequences that I was like, I can, that's kind of how my story went. I just didn't take care of the main thing I really needed to take care of,
yeah.
honestly.
What was your biggest lesson from losing everything?
Biggest lesson from losing everything. That's a good question. I mean, it's not the end of the world, I think, was a big lesson. I honestly, I was just having a conversation with someone today about it. Like we all watch the news, and we got AI taking our jobs right now. We got a
Hmm.
war looming in Iraq. We got. I think they're saying that there's like some suit, I don't know, and then you got environmental challenge. The world could end at any moment, right? We don't know what's promised to us, and I'm raising children. I'm going, hey guys, make sure you get good grades, but I don't even know if you should go to college anymore because there might not be jobs. So like when I go to all that stuff with like losing everything, it's not, nothing's nothing's forever. Everything has its times and space, and what you learn from it. It's those old cliches, like, what doesn't kill you, make you stronger,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
And like, you're a jujitsu guy.
Yep.
I follow you with that stuff. You're going to be in a bad move and everything, but sometimes if you just do nothing and you hold tight, you can just make it to the end of the round, or you can make it to this part. So there's different strategies, but panicking gets you nowhere. Complaining gets you nowhere. The poor me gets you, and I still do it, and I'm not perfect with it anyway, but it doesn't, it's not going to solve it. Move on. The faster you can get to the point of being like, it's over. Past is the past. I got to move on,
Yep.
is the faster you get through it. I mean, and I
Yep.
go through it still today with businesses challenge. So like, I'm not perfect, and I have a reminder on my own thing all the time. But the thing I've learned is my time of suffering and being a victim is shorter now. Because that first time it happened to me, I thought it was the end of the world. My story about myself was like, oh my gosh, it's never going to come back. I would like think of the movies I saw where a guy had one thing happen and his world was over. Like I did catastrophize it for years, and I had a couple of other things that happened to me too. I had a failed relationship. I had, these kids that, were a situation I had to deal with, and the no money, and the sense of like just failure after never having a failure, never really having anything to deal with. Like it was like this story that now, oh, I deserve this, or
Hmm.
whatnot.
Oh yeah, I've been there too. I get that. What did you have a? So you're sober now.
Yeah, 7 years.
What? That's amazing, bro.
Yeah, 7 years.
Congrats.
Well, if I make it to the end of this month, 7 years. Yeah.
Yep. Well, it's one day at a time, right? I know that's
Yeah,
cliche, but it
exactly.
happens to be true.
I was a
Well,
little, I was a little bit, yeah, I was a little bit ahead of myself.
no, no, no. Listen,
Yeah.
man, that's very, very measurable, and I commend you. Did you have a rock bottom
Oh yeah.
that made you go, fuck this, I'm done?
Yeah. I had what they call the jumping off space. I don't know, like if you, and not to get into, there's certain books out there, there's 12 steps stuff.
Yep.
And there's a story about the jumping off place where like I couldn't, didn't, I was in, didn't know if I wanted to live or die. Like there was just like, it was just a spot that my life was so unmanageable and so stressful, and I had so much anxiety that I just wanted it all to go away. And I actually just sat out at the beach one night. Like I woke up and I was just like praying to God. And I had it earlier in my life, and I wish I would have stuck with it. And it
Hmm.
was like that exact same moment where like the weird part when I was saying this and I was praying to God, I didn't know if it was real or not. Like I wanted some magical thing or feeling. And it's not like I had this like feeling come over to me. It was like this thing, but I really had a lot of doubt in my life that was like, all right, I'm going to say this right now, but in a couple days, am I going to be at happy hour? In a couple days, am I going to go do this? And if things get better, am I just BSing myself and just I'll be back in this pattern again? So like it was a really weird situation. And then I ended up having a phone call God does some funny things in weird
Mhm.
ways. And I didn't know if I wanted to go to AA or anything else like that because I just didn't want to say any. I didn't want to commit to anything that I might fail. Like I'd gotten let myself down so many times. And I talked with some friends that were really good friends that I knew were sober, but I never tell everybody everything that's going on. I just would like kind of beat around the bush. I was like, "Do you think I should do this?" They're like, "No, you're super disciplined." Because I am disciplined in a lot of ways. They're like, "No, you just, just go focus on these things, and you'll be fine." They kind of like let me off the hook, but I needed someone to, I almost like needed a self-destruct to have something that I had to go do it. So I had no choice. And someone all of a sudden at a place, someone was serving, they said they were looking for me to serve me papers. And I was really paranoid about some business I was in and all that. Ironically, I never got paper served to me, which is ironic.
Mm.
I ended up calling a buddy of mine that was an attorney and just to find out, get advice. And he ended up getting sober a couple years before me. He was like, "Hey man, why don't you just quit drinking?" And he like kind of was like a person. It was like a godsend. It was like this ray of hope that I had a solution to my problem I was dealing with. And I'd always done it on my own. And
Mm.
this is like a guy. I mean, I'm like, I'm not like, I hate saying like a Bible thumper or anything else. I'm by no means like Mr. Religion or Mr. Righteousness or anything. But for like me, it was knowing that I wasn't alone this
Yep.
time, and that I didn't have to do it on my own. I couldn't do it. I'd failed so many times myself, and I really did. Like I'd failed, and like people on the outside thought I had this and everything, but I'd was like I don't know. And that was the moment for me.
Well, you kind of quoted a portion of step one a minute ago. You realized your life was unmanageable. That's
Yeah.
step one, right? And you're
Yeah.
powerless over alcohol.
Oh, it was. It was, man.
Yeah.
I wasn't happy, man. I just wasn't. And I had kids and I really had those moments of being like thinking back when I was like an 18, 19-year-old, 20-year-old kid that like I had a younger brother that looked up to me. I took care of stuff with my mom and I had kids now and everything. I was like acting like a frat boy still or something like that. And I was just like, who the hell? I was just like, I can't believe I'm tired. And like you're 44 and you're like, you're not this spry, it's not cute anymore, you
Mm.
know?
Hmm. Yep.
And it's like
Did you
I
find it?
was,
Did you find it hard in social settings with?
yeah, I did absolutely, but I always have had people wouldn't know that I have issues with that in social settings. I get really shy and self conscious, so like having a few drink, like the drinking worked for me, it did, like it loosened me up and everything. So I was really nervous about it, and I hated thinking what people are thinking about me.
Mm.
I kind of had that like everybody knows I'm not drinking. I was like kind of you've been around me when I'm drinking and stuff like
Oh
I'm
yeah.
kinda like, yeah, come on, getting everybody rallied up to do it. And like it's all fun. And then you're like a kind of different you're almost like an actor in this role. So I just kind of wanted to shrink. But I was in a situation I had to keep on going because I was there. And as time went on, I'm still not like a lot of times I just choose not to be out or anything, but I choose to. Um, but I overcame it, man. And as I kept working on myself and I've gotten more spiritually, I'm really not hard on others. Like I kind of like let go of judging others, which has allowed me to not judge myself, to be honest with you. So I just kind of go and I'm a little bit more present.
Yeah.
It
So
was, it was
you're
really
letting
hard,
yourself
but
off the hook.
yeah, but it's not, and it's not now. And like my wife, when I met her, I was nervous she wouldn't like me. I'd never kissed a girl sober. I was 46, it's
Wow.
45 years old, turning 46. And it was 5 years ago right now. And I dude, I thought that she like really, because she'd see me in a work setting and I was pretty charismatic there talking with everybody, but then she wanted to hang out with me and actually spend time one on one. And that would normally go get it's not that I'd be just wasted or anything, but go get a glass of wine, and like bring someone to my spot where like I could be, you know, cool and loose and everything else like that. And I was
Yep.
like, hey, I'm not what you think, man. I'm actually trying to clean up my life. I got this. I'm dealing with this stuff. So I was like, I don't drink. I'm really not that. I'm kind of like a nerd, right? I just was like, and she like loved, and it's funny, she actually loved that about me. And then like I didn't know that. I didn't even think that. And then a couple weeks into our relationship, she's like, have you noticed I don't drink? I'm not drinking. And she's like, Pete, I always wanted to meet someone that didn't drink. We had
Wow.
alcohol in my family. And she's like, "That's the dream, man." And I was like, "Oh my gosh," like, and it was weird, like, and like when I kissed her the first time, I had butterflies when I was like nervous again. So it's like learning these different skills, or going to a concert, like, and you're like dancing a little bit, but you don't know what to do with your hands. You're like, should I do
Yeah,
it? So it's like stupid. You're an adult, but you feel like a little first day of school again. You know.
I love it. I love it.
So,
Well, that's pretty supportive of you because she doesn't drink, so that makes
oh,
it
dude,
pretty easy.
it's so incredible. And I never thought when I met her, I figured she'd go have glasses of wine with her friends or anything. Like I'm not like, hey, with anybody, like around my family or anybody else. This is my issue, and I dug my own grave. This is my issue, and I'm thankful for it. So I don't really, if you have a real problem and I love you, I want to help you. But again,
Or
you still have to ask, you still got to come to me for the help, like I can't do it, I'm not going to do it. And my kids are a little bit different story. Um, but in that case, I just thought that's how I really thought that anybody I'd ever meet, if I ever met anybody, because actually there was a point I was like, I'll probably just be single, and just go do this is fine. I'll be all right. And, when, I didn't even know that was a possibility that someone would stop drinking. And then when she stopped drinking for me, it was like, and I didn't even ask. It's like the most, even if I'm mad at her or anything else like that, I go down, I do a gratitude list every single day. And I'm like, I can't believe I have someone. And going out, going to parties, she's who I'd want to pick up anyway. So like, I'm like, I always have someone with me that is going through the same mission as I am. She feels awkward at parties just as I do. And then we feel awkward together, which makes us closer. you know. So
man. So I'm just going through my questions. You've already answered most of them. So you mentioned your gratitude list. What does that look like, and how does that help you?
dude, that is like it's so it's one of those things. If you would have said this to me, like Chris, if we were at a conference together and someone brought it up, I'd be like, doing like one of the like a hand gesture or whatever, like, oh, whatever. Again with the gratitude, right? What I have found is the simplest things that they say, even the sayings, are really hard to do because they're simple, but they're very easy to go do, and they have the best results. Gratitude is the number one thing that keeps me going in everything. It's changed my life, made me a better father, husband, um, son. My mom recently died of cancer. She was given 2 weeks to live. She was one of the most thankful, loving people I've ever met, and we ended up having her for 5 months during that time. Dude, it was like out of the movies, like the conversations we'd have and everything. Every single day I'd write gratitude. I'm in a group. These guys, I started a gratitude thread with some of my friends um, that I'm really close with, and we do 3 things every day we're grateful for, and 3 things that we're grateful for in the future, like that. And every day, even when things are the worst of the worst, I do a gratitude thing, and it changes my attitude, changes my things, changes my marriage with my wife. I literally, like, I'll write her what I'm thankful for. So like, rather than my brain going to like, when you're married and you have a young kid and you have a blended family, it's like a lot of things are not what you thought it would be like,
Right.
because you're dealing with all these things. But like when I go to like, well, I work all the time. Can't you just have the house here? I start pointing out what I start noticing things that aren't done right. But when I do the gratitude thread and start focusing on what she does do, I'm like, holy crap, I'm so lucky. I am so lucky. And then every day I did it, like, even if I can't think of something that day, like, I'm like, all right, well, I'm sober today. I'm alive. I can breathe. I live in St. Augustine. I live by the beach. I had a running, I had a house. And even when I hear things that happen to other people, I'm sad for them. And then I'm like, oh my gosh, I am so blessed and lucky to be this way. So it's like, it gives me like an energy to go through things that I never thought. Like, I mean, I have moments like I've had a rough patch this last week, man. We've had like my daughter's car went, and then this went, and this. There's like, how it is. Life hits you, and I literally though do the gratitude thread every day, and then I go for a workout, and then I go breathe. I go do those things, and it's like, eh, it's all right. I'm all right. I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm healthy. And right now, knock on wood, like every day I got my health.
Yeah, man.
And that alone is like incredible.
Well, first of all, I don't know that I knew that about your mom, so I'm sorry. When did she pass?
Last year in May. So this
Okay.
past year in May. Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
turned
remember you. I
25.
remember you always spoke really highly of. Obviously, I mean, she's your
Yeah.
mom, but I mean, I didn't know
No,
that. So I
super.
apologize.
No, no, no. Super, super close. But I say that because even in that time and how she passed, dude, it was the most beautiful thing ever. I played it at her. I did the eulogy at her funeral, and there was people. My mom didn't have money. She was 5'2". Every one of my cousins, I'm talking people flew down, my cousins flew down 3 and 4 times because she was only supposed to live 2 weeks, but it
Mhm.
kept dragging out. And she's hilarious. She's like, this is great. She's like, yep, I'm staying. I'm gonna be here. And literally, like her blood's going, like all this stuff's going on. She had 2 broken backs, things.
Mhm.
And her I played the thing. It was a message to my cousin Katie that it was 2 weeks before she died, and she's like, "Hey, Katie, baby, I just want to tell you, man, I love you. God, I'm so grateful for life, man. My kids are good. Like she met her son. Like there were so many things that happened. She's like, this is the best life ever. And it genuinely was 2 weeks before her dying.
Wow.
And knowing it. So it was like you could see it work, and I knew it, like, and I knew it, like how it worked, and
Yep.
like her faith with God. It wasn't she was she was always like my mom was funny, and she'd go to church and everything, but it's like it was such a more different. It was so real and so loving, and she'd
Mm.
listen to you, and she didn't judge, and she forgave you. And when I got sober, there was not one thing that she was upset with me, or things that happened. She was just like so happy I could finally be happy, you know.
That's great. I'm glad that she got to see this version of you.
Yeah, and she got to meet her son. She had a son that she had put up for adoption, like back in the '60s. That was like really the word. It was her anchor of her life,
Mm.
and we got reconciled with him like 5 years prior. Like there was all these things that happened. My parents got a brutal divorce, and my dad was with us, at the last days with her and everything. And like it was like a really, really, those are the things like you can go through stuff, but those are the moments that you're like, man, life is pretty awesome, you know.
Wow. So 7 years ago, when you made the decision to get sober, you were 43,
44. Yeah.
44.
I just
So
turned 44. So yeah.
so when would you say 43 was a rough year? When you're
Yeah.
43?
43 was brutal, dude.
Yeah.
Brutal.
Yeah.
Brutal. Hanging on by a thread, man. We had a business, which you know about. I had left all my real estate to go to pursue this other business that I had put together that I literally had gotten voted out of, and lost everything and anything, all because I put people together and I had nothing to do with any of the other stuff, and left my really successful business. And I had 3 children on my own that I was paying for. Um, it was just the whole thing. It was like all these, and I didn't even know what to do with it. It was like so frustrating and everything, and
Yeah.
I didn't have an outlet. And then I just kept hoping something would break through. And it's like almost like when you don't know what's going to happen, it's even worse.
Yeah.
And but it was crazy. It was almost like 2 times when I lost everything that was going on in my life at the time. It's almost like it was meant to happen. Like it was meant to happen, so I got broke so that I could realize it because I was not hearing it. It was almost like there was too many things. Like when this other business that we had, like I got voted out of these guys take it over, and it's all my relationships. It's all the things I put together. And I didn't even want it. Didn't even want to be involved with it. And all of a sudden I'm like tied to everything. And I had a real thriving real estate company and a real doing a huge development. I literally 2 weeks before it though, because the other people working for me were handling the real estate project. We had a um, $1 million homes right by the beach, everything. I gave the majority over to them because I was going to go pursue this, and 2 weeks it's over. And I had worked on that for 3 years, and then
Yeah.
they were really good friends of mine. And then I had a real estate license issue that I never even had, and it was kind of BS. It like I got my license suspended, like so I couldn't even work, and I just would sit there and like there's so many things, and I just had to like act like everything was normal, and I'm like going to get my kids. I'm live in a small town. Everyone's asking what happened with this other business, and I'm like going through it. I'm like, I can't believe this is my life.
Mhm.
So the drinking was like my relief on a lot of ways,
Sure.
where like I could at least have some moments, and then I would go talk business with somebody, and it just like kept on. It just didn't get better, you know.
Yeah. So if
Nothing.
if we're recording this on April 10th, if the April 10th version of 2026, Pete Cook could go back and talk to that dude, what would you say?
Um, just take some deep breaths. Stop. Quit making it worse and quit controlling. Let it settle. And the one thing that serenity prayer that I've learned is
Mm,
I would literally say do the serenity prayer. And basically in a nutshell, um, you know, ask God to help you control the things you can, let go of the things you can't, and know the difference and just
yeah,
let it go. Don't get involved with it, don't control it. And just ride the wave, and it'll be all right, and then
yeah.
walk towards something, like take action in something else,
I
whatever you got
love
to
it.
do.
I love it. So I wrap up with a rapid fire couple questions. What's one thing that keeps you grounded every day?
One thing that keeps me grounded every day, I wake up early, and I read. I read immediately. And right now I'm reading the Bible 10 pages a day, but because I never did it before. Um, 100%. I mean, I love my little routine in the morning. I read. I then go do a little breath work, Wim Hof.
Hmm.
I then wake up. My son usually wakes up. I go pick him up. I go take him to his mom. She lays with him. Then I watch a little shows with him, and then I go work out. And
Man,
that's my biggest ground. I love like getting a little movement, getting a little
yeah,
reading, getting a little spiritual stuff in, and every day. And then meetings. I do a couple meetings a week.
I love that. I love that.
And my
So
gratitude, and my gratitude for it. My gratitude is first thing in the morning too. So all that
sounds
stuff.
like you have a pretty solid morning routine. Pete, what's the best piece of advice you've ever gotten?
Um, just keep moving forward.
Mm,
Keep moving the ball forward. You might not, all the answers aren't going to be there, but just keep moving forward. Like if you don't like your job, just keep doing it. See where you can like, who you can meet from there, or whatnot. But just keep moving. Momentum, like keep some momentum going.
I love
You
that.
know,
I love that.
and like
What do
and
you,
like sometimes the answers will come.
yeah, man. Well, you've got a track record of that. You've been down and out a few times, and you just kept moving forward. Clearly, because we wouldn't be talking.
Yeah.
What are you most proud of right now?
I was proud of my family.
Love
Absolutely,
that.
100%. That I could have lost them, and I'm real proud of my daughters. Proud of my wife. Like I couldn't be more. Just like it's crazy. Like I really am. And then ultimately, though, I say that, but I'm real proud of being sober. That's my most number one thing. I struggled with it for so long, and there's a lot of easy way outs of it, and that was really, really, really. And it wasn't as hard when I look back at it, it was a lot if I would have just done and listened earlier.
Yep.
But I'm so proud of that. So proud of
Yeah.
that.
Well, I'm proud of you, man. You've come a long way.
Yeah,
Yeah,
thank you.
you've come a long way, man. Anything else before we wrap up here that you want to get off your chest or share some wisdom nuggets?
No, man, I enjoy this, man. I'm proud of you, Chris. I think it's
Thanks,
awesome that you're
buddy.
doing this. I like that you're doing like while you're in the middle of going through it. I think there is a lot. The one I think I resonated with what you said when I heard what you were doing. Um, we all we're YouTubed, we're got some great books, and there's all these like, yeah, alpha males, and you got this and you got that, but it's like, that's great. But what do I do when my life's falling apart and I'm in the
Mhm.
middle of it and I'm in the storm? It's great to hear when you got out of it. It's great that like, oh, I love hearing that story of he did it, but like, I'm always going, were you really that bad? Like, so like, what do you like to see it live and in action? And I think family, divorce, I think single fatherhood. I think losing as a man, losing your, some livelihood and swallowing your pride and addiction, all that stuff. It's like, that's the stuff that like we need. And when we're in it, realizing we're not alone, and
Yeah,
that
man.
there's other ways of doing it. Cause I think we go to the extremes that everybody either has it all or I'm nothing, but there's a lot of room in that middle ground, you know?
Yeah, there sure is, man. Well, listen, Pete, you're a busy dude. You're a family man. I know you're busy, and I appreciate you carving out some time for me today. So, thanks, man. I really appreciate it.
All right, Chris. Thank you, buddy.
All right, man. We'll talk soon.